FM. Please listen to this breaking news. Operations have been shut down at the Victor Otta International Airport in New York as workers of the Airport Development Company Limited embarked on a full-scale protest over unpaid allowances and poor wage conditions. The aggrieved staff, who say they have endured months of financial neglect, blocked access to the airport early today, effectively grounding all activities and leaving passengers stranded. According to the protesters, repeated appeals to management for the payment of outstanding allowances and a review of what they describe as unfair wages have yielded no results. Chanting solidarity songs and carrying placards, the workers insist they will not return to work until their demands are addressed. Although the protest has not disrupted flight schedules, it has raised concerns about safety, passenger convenience, and the economic impact on the state. Airport authorities have yet to issue an official statement as at the time of this report. This program are personal and do not represent the stand of Memories 96.5 FM, and the station is not associated in any personal or professional capacity unless clearly stated. Over here, I hope it's the same for you over there. Thank you for staying tuned to the morning ride on Memories 96.5 FM. Time check is 5 minutes past 10, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first edition of the Melting Point in the year 2026. I am NYAKNNO, Albert.
Alright, I am Enquiry. It's a pleasure to have you on the first edition of Melting Point.
Happy New Year also.
Yeah, Happy New Year, same to you, Yaki.
How you doing?
You're fast. I would have done that before you. Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. Of course, it was a rice Utide. Yeah, the bags of rice enjoyed good rice.
Definitely the rice.
In the luxurious cars, I know, and in Keke everywhere there was rice. So Rice City, it was.
Okay.
It was nice.
All right then. So it's the beginning of 2026, a new year, but not a calm one. Across the world, old rules are being questioned, power is being tested, and the line between diplomacy and force appears thinner than ever. From Eastern Europe to the Middle East and now Latin America, global politics is entering the year on edge. Reports of a dramatic United States military action against Venezuela, including the removal of President Nicolas Maduro, have sparked outrage, applause, disbelief, and serious legal questions. The action raises concerns about sovereignty, international law, and the future of the global order. So as the world adjusts to 2026, one key question confronts all nations, and that includes Nigeria. What happens when power seems to override rules? Today we take a calm, critical look at the implications with our guest analysts in the studio with us this morning. First, I'd like to introduce a public affairs analyst and senior lecturer in the Department of Public Administration at the Akwa State University, Dr. Wanabasi. Good morning, Doc. Happy New Year.
Good morning, same to you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, wholesaler.
Yeah.
And every other person.
How was your brief break?
Oh, fine.
Okay.
I think I actually rested.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. You added weight.
Well, I wish we could also have a great vote.
Yeah, sure. I don't know
This
what
this
will what will be
way
approved
very
for.
soon you see we shed off.
Well,
That
right
is
next to
great.
him, right next to Dr. Wadabasi Udo, is another public affairs analyst and social commentator, Otorkom. Enquiry, good morning, Otorkom. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Yaki, good morning, happy new week, and Osela himself, like I told you, I heard Heavy D this morning, and
And the lighter voice.
yes, I really love what I heard, and happy new year to most of our listeners on Meltin Point.
Yeah.
And this year I think is going to be a great year.
Amen. Also, Lord, dug deep into his prophetical side. Well, remember, you can be part of the discussion via the phone lines on 0803 085 7755 and 0809 066 6909. The second number serves as our WhatsApp number, so when you drop a comment, we'll be reading it out here. So let's get into it. We're already out of time, so we're just trying to be as punchy as possible this morning. The abduction of a sitting Venezuelan president by the United States is definitely unprecedented in modern international politics. I mean, President Nicolas Maduro is still referred to as the president as we speak. He was abducted from his country and brought to the United States in cuffs, blindfolded as a matter of fact. Before we even look at the consequences, Doc, how should the international community and the media assess the credibility of this particular action, and what standards of proof should apply in a case this serious?
Thank you very much. Let me say this first of all, that America is the world power today. If you recall, there was some years back, I mean some decades and centuries back, Egypt was the world power then. Thereafter, we had Russia was also world power, and then America today is world power. You know, China is fighting to also become a world power, and so on. So, as holding a status of a world power, America can penetrate any country, you know, to try to stabilize whatever abnormally they have observed. I think it was on that status that on the 25th of December, maybe, I don't know whether you mentioned that in the course of this discussion, that America had to strike the insurgents that, you know, had gathered to cause mayhem for Christians on the day of their celebration of the birth of Jesus, and are still using that power, that status of political power. That's what they have also used to penetrate Venezuela, you know. But my problem now is the question on our so-called sovereignty. Because if you are a sovereign nation and another country just penetrates and picked up our own was even milder, you know, but have now picked up the sitting president, handcuffed, blindfolded, and taken away to another country, then the question of what sovereignty is seriously in doubt. So the standing of America as we speak is such a one that you know, except they don't want to, you know, come to you if you're not behaving well in your country. Remember in late last year, around October thereabout, Nigeria was declared a country of
particular
concern, CPC. And that declaration is actually what made America to be able to act the way they acted on the 25th, which was even a big relief to especially the Christendom. So America has a standing as a world power, and they are the supervisor of the entire world, the entire political scenario of the world, and they have that world by world law. Yes, they have a good standing to do what they did. It wasn't just and of course, if you check, you see that he has the backing of their parliament, and so on and so forth.
Well, talking about international law and the backing of the United States Parliament, the United States is still subject to the United Nations. International law strongly protects sovereign states and prohibits forceful regime change. Otaka, if a powerful country forcibly removes another country's president, does that not violate international law? And under what circumstances, if any, could such an action be justified?
Certainly it violates sovereignty of nations, quote and unquote. But I think there's a law that allows certain powerful nations like America, I think was it after 9/11, to take this kind of preemptive actions if they feel ultimately that the interests of their country or maybe their security could be breached. And that is one of the reasons the United States has done this. Number two, you have to remember that there is what is called the Monroe Doctrine, which was a law that America passed during the days of James Monroe. I think that was 1824 or something like that. And that law was meant to stop other powers from interfering in the Americas and make America a preeminent power. It's a national law, not actually an international law. But in the world as we speak, might is right, it's not right is right. So America utilized that law. It has been changed over time, but you see that if you look at the Americas, United States has done lots and lots of regime changes across the Americas, from Chile, I think Brazil, Argentina, and so many of those countries. I think this other country where you have Canal, Panama, lots and lots of nations like that. America, especially in the Americas, even in Africa, you can see, even in the Middle East, they have done lots and lots of regime changes across the globe, and especially in the Americas, the American continent, and so this one is not any other thing. And you could see that according to Trump, our national security is threatened by drugs that are coming in from Venezuela, and the man is being dubbed a drug baron, and that he's involved. There's a state involvement in drug peddling into the United States, which is the biggest drug consumer. And so they are using these things to go into Venezuela and use their might to take over that country. And not take over, they have not done that, because Trump actually abhors the idea of American boots on ground, because if American soldiers die, his popularity is America would dip immediately. So he did this surgical action, which you may have to know that Maduro is not very popular in Venezuela. If you look at the demonstrations that are the protests or the celebration, not protests, that came in after his capture, you could now see that he wasn't a very popular person. I do believe if he was a popular person, like the person he deputized, Hugo Chavez, who was actually the head of this revolution, and the Venezuelans loved him, I think the man died of cancer also at a particular time. This may not have happened because we would have had the support of the people. And I don't know if America will go on. Trump is trying to say that we are going to go on to administer Venezuela until they can find and this may breed a lot of, people are talking across the globe, nations are speaking against it, but if America does this, it could certainly be a trap. And maybe one reason why they didn't go in boots on ground was that they know it could become another, possibly Iraq 2.0 or Afghanistan 2.0. You understand me? That could create a lot of problem, resistance within the country, and people are still saying it, so let us just wait and see. Trump is not your usual American president. He may have some good reason. He may even be in the interest of the people. If you look at what is even happening in Iran, that is even saying to the Iranian regime, if you kill your people over this so-called what looks like another revolution after about 40-something years, and we are going to come in and do something. Let us just see what is actually going to happen. There are a lot of things as we go on that we are going to discuss about, but let's just wait and see exactly what is going to happen.
All right, this is Meltin Point on Memories 96.5 FM, and Venezuela is in the news. All right, Doctor, now that U.S. is laying this claim that Maduro is involved in shipping drugs to the U.S., and because of that he's been abducted, and the U.S. said they want to run the country, temporarily until a new leader is chosen. Venezuela and Nigeria, they're similar. They have oil, they have natural resources, and they have good criminals as well.
Everything we have except terrorism is not there.
So now that Trump is in Nigeria, do you see such a thing replicating Nigeria at the point?
I've read somewhere where Trump said that our president, Nigerian president, should look back. Should be looking back, that anything can happen.
Watch his back.
He should watch his back, that anything can happen, and of course, like my colleague said, President Trump is not just like any other president. I don't know what kind of material God used in creating him, because he's, let me not use the word erratic, but it's such a person that he acts as he feels.
Yeah.
As he feels it, he just takes action. Just like this Venezuelan, if you go through international law, you see that there is no more justice. If there is justification at all, there is no more justification for the action that Trump has taken. So you remember he said that he's coming to Nigeria and he's going to be his presence will be felt in Nigeria. And actually on the 25th of December, when everybody was celebrating in the church and so on and so forth, we heard that we didn't only hear, we also saw that America struck Sokoto. And the question was, why Sokoto? Why not east? That all kinds of insecurity used to happen in Maiduguri and the rest of the places, but Sokoto, meaning that the America has the capacity and has the mechanism to monitor and to detect and to tell you exactly what is happening in your country. How did we know? Because even some of us Nigerians didn't know that Sokoto was the center of the caliphate. Yes, we know that that's a caliphate in Nigeria, but we never knew that that was a spiritual center where all these insecurities, if you must receive strength, if you must have this and that protection, you have to go and gather in Sokoto and take off from there. And look at the number of criminals that were destroyed that day. So he has told President Tinubu to watch his back, that he's coming. He's coming again. So he can act. And I'm advising our president, advising our democracy, that Nigeria should not also allow itself to be trampled upon You know, I remember in those days that a former president, Babangida, used to brag and said, you know, that America, that foreign countries should not, you know, invade into Nigerian issues, that Nigeria is old enough to handle its problems. And so it will also make us to feel comfortable that America or any other country cannot invade Nigeria and take any action that, you know, we're under control, we're under leadership.
All right.
So, but
Doc,
you can see what America has been able to have done.
let me stay with you. Let's talk about the imbalance in global power. Smaller or weaker states often complain that powerful countries tend to act without consequences. Does a scenario like this particular United States and Venezuela reinforce the idea that global rules apply differently to powerful countries compared to weaker ones?
It's almost like what happens in in our local communities and even in our families. You know, like I always say, when a young person commits sin, that is a sin. But when an older person commits the same sin, that's not a sin.
It's a mistake.
It's a mistake, you know. And one man was held with a bag, with a content, a chicken, you know, and they caught him. They knew he'd stole the chicken. But you know, he ran to one big man and said, you know, and they are going to catch him. Please, when they come, use your eyes and look at this thing with the big man eyes, you know. I'm sorry to say this on air, but that's what the people believe in, that it's only a big man that can, you know, pollute the air and nothing happens. If a young man does that, that's an insult. So it applies almost globally. It applies everywhere in the world. When you are so powerful, in fact, if you look at our society, you see those who are driving heavy SUVs with backup. You see the way they drive. Sometimes they drive and don't care whether people are on the streets. You splash water if it's on a rainy season. If it is dry season, they just blow the dust and anyhow, not minding whether there are other people. Whereas all these members of the masses are suffering the consequences. So it also applies globally. When you have so much power, if you are not careful, you become drunk. And you know, it just skipped my mind who said that power intoxicates, and absolute power intoxicates. Absolutely. You know, when you have absolute power, if you are not careful, you get so intoxicated that you just want to use that power and demonstrate and see whether actually that power is working, you know. So you can see what America is doing, even with the fact that if you go to international law and go through, you see that they do not really have the grounds to carry out it. But by the time you see, by the time they carry out these things and maybe the matter is taken to court, you see how, you know, they use their powers and their body languages and subpedal the whole matter in their favor. So it applies everywhere, because it, as far as it's human beings that are concerned, human beings can do anything at any time in their interest.
Okay, you landed somewhere. Interest. Otuekong, let me come to you. Is it all because of interest? American interest and the role in governing Venezuela, according to Trump, he says, won't cost us anything because U.S. oil companies would invest in new infrastructure in the oil-rich country, and it's going to make a lot of money. So it's all about business.
Well, yes,
and
partially so. You know, you have to understand that America hardly goes to anywhere where they were not going to fund the war effort that they did. Even in, remember during colonial times, even when England invaded China and ended up sacking the imperial palace, and looting everything they saw there, they still ended up making China to pay for the invasion that they did, not the Chinese. So the war is very costly and expensive. Many nations have been broken down. Many empires have totally collapsed because of the debt incurred during a war campaign. So these guys are very smart, and they want to make sure that every war effort do not go that way, that at the end of the day, America is indebted to about 38 trillion, getting to 40 trillion as we speak, dollars, even though most of those debt are internal. But you have to understand, Venezuela sits on the largest oil reserve on earth, and American companies were there that actually started drilling the oil. But from the time Hugo Chavez came in, they have been losing ground to Russia and China, and they want to get back to these things. And you know, America have this kind of romantic relationship with oil. I remember the former American, I think, vice president, who said it is not our fault that God put our oil under your own soil. So we've seen them go to war over oil in Iraq. It was primarily because of oil. They've done that in many places, and they still want to. The Iranian Prime Minister Mossadegh was removed in 1953 because of oil, you know, which has caused the repercussion is what we are still feeling today, you know, in the modern world that has allowed these clerics to take over power over so many years, because America imposed a very bad person on the people, and by 79 the man was thrown out, and these clerics took over, who have not really taken good care of the people over the many years. So oil is a primary reason. The money that comes from oil is one of those primary reasons that you could say America has an interest. And you should know that the American industrial complex, you know what, the military industrial complex is a very powerful machinery that pushes American government into so many wars, you know, because they are making money both from selling of arms and the minerals in the source of other nations. So these are facts, but you need to understand that again, to the American national security interest outside oil is equally a factor. By that I mean, when you look at what is happening with the drug getting into America, if you look at the southern border, for the past since Trump came in, since they completed building the wall and did a lot of things, nobody has passed through there. Drugs are hardly passing through the southern border. So, you know, the national security interest is part of the major reason Trump has taken this in. And again, another factor you need to understand that Trump is a radical factor. It's not your usual American president. He may have this kind of moral reason also for taking some of these actions. Could be in the interest of the people. For example, coming into Nigeria, was it because American companies are already here? You understand? All companies are actually here. The Anglo-Saxon oil interests are the ones controlling our oil in Nigeria, to be exact, you know. So you could see that there was a moral factor for him coming into Nigeria. So the Trump factor is another thing you need to throw in. So you cannot really use one particular argument to say that, okay, this is primarily why Trump did this. It could be for security reason, and there are a lot of other reasons, you understand me, and which we may, let me not hold on so much. We will talk about the national security strategy that Trump just came up with, you understand me, you know. So these are just very good factors. So we need to look at it from broad perspective. I know Nigerians will say, oh, America is always looking for your resources. Yes, we know, but there are other factors.
Otorka,
yes.
Staying with you, talking about precedent and global stability. I mean, it's clear that what one major power does today can become a model for others tomorrow.
Yeah.
If this kind of action becomes acceptable, what dangerous precedents does it set for global peace and stability?
Trump will tell you that, you know, a lot of things that happen in the world is simply because of an interest of one empire or the other. And you need to understand the Western empire is evangelical in nature. They want to push their mindset to other people. Even Trump now is even trying to recede back. And nations act differently depending on their culture. For example, the Chinese will not come and invade any other country. They are not interested. You know, they are more interested in their country. They have one of the best military, which is a par with what America has. But they don't go out. They don't believe in disturbing people, and that may be good or may be bad in the same vein. You understand? So the fact is this, that it can send a wrong signal to other nations, but not now that America is a superpower, because America is not going to allow you to come and control the world as long as they are there. If they can attack even a country like Korea, they would, but because those people have nuclear weapons, they are not going to attack. So the fact on hand is just America. Nobody is going to try to control the globe. If you try it today, America will come after you. You see the point? So that will not really matter. But again, look at what they came out with, the national security strategy, which Trump just came out before the invasion of this thing. They said they don't want to be the world policeman anymore. You understand me? That is why they are telling Europe, we cannot be funding NATO again. You understand me? That you people have got to step up, make military, increase the percentage of your GDP into your military to make sure that you can do this. You understand? And that is why you see Ukraine is suffering, because America does not want to carry the debt burden of the Ukrainian war anymore. So they said, what we want to concern ourselves is to control the Western Hemisphere, both militarily, economically, politically. So nobody should come in, because right now, because they were going around policing the world, China has been coming in. China has been one of the best spots in the world in Peru, relating with Brazil, taking over. They are now in control of the Panama Canal. So this is disturbing to America. You know, so they said, whatever, we are now overextended. Let us come back to our hemisphere. You see the point I'm trying to say. But one thing you need to understand: any global power will act in its own interest. We need to understand, like Professor Mabubani will say, that geopolitics is a very cruel business. You see the point? Any superpower will act in its own interest. China acts in its own interest. They come into Nigeria, for example. They don't mind whether you have terrorism everywhere. As far as we can come in and mine your minerals, it's their interest. They don't care. In America does it the other way. As long as our economic interest is suffering, we have to use our effort to make sure that we don't allow you to suffer. You see the point I'm trying to say? That is even why you see a country like Japan, the economy is going down, because when they were challenging America, America had to do something. You see, so that is the thing. Any country in power will act in its own best interest. You understand me? So it is in your own interest as a country to make sure that you develop certain credible defense. And number one defense is to treat you
comfortable with that, because they said the Congress was not informed of the U.S. Invasion, and some are in support of the U.S. attack, some are not, but somehow they have instructed or appointed or agreed on the vice president taking over the control of that.
Okay, let me tell you. You see what happened in Venezuela. To be exact, America would not have succeeded without internal saboteurs who didn't want Maduro there. That is it. Forget about what they come and those are politically correct statements just to meet up with the demand of the international community. But to tell you the truth, from the military in Venezuela to the intelligence services to even politicians in Venezuela, they must have said, look, we can't keep on suffering because of this man. You see the point I'm trying to say?
But the US said it was afraid that the plan might be leaked.
Whatever they want to say, but the truth is that that operation could not have succeeded without internal saboteurs on ground. That is the point you need to, you understand me? So the truth is that when they will say those things, you know, but certainly I don't think Trump wants to go in there and completely control that country. Those politicians are still going to be there, maybe the opposition leader and whatever. They're still going to be the ones controlling.
No, he doesn't want the opposition leader. Even when.
Yeah, I think he said something, but we don't know who. Yeah. And America should not fall into the trap of trying to make sure that the particular person wins election who is favorable to America, because he didn't work in Iraq. If you notice it, what they did, he didn't work in Libya. He has not worked in many countries. He didn't work in Afghanistan. If they try it, the best thing is to allow the people of Venezuela to determine who should be elected.
According to Trump, he says the vice president will do. He has agreed to do what we want.
Yes, that's it. You know, you have to do what America wants. That is the regime change in America. That America causes. That has always. Look at what happened in Zaire, the Democratic Republic of Congo Kinshasa. They brought in, after they removed Patrice Lumumba. They brought in this man, Mobutu Sese Seko, and the man was doing what they wanted. which is still the crisis you see in that country till today.
Doc Otakon says America do not want to control Venezuela, but President
I
Trump.
would say Trump doesn't want to
Okay.
look at America.
Well, Trump announced that the U.S., in his words, would run Venezuela until a new leader was chosen. Let me quote him. We're going to make sure that the country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. So, reports say he did not rule out deploying U.S. troops in the country and said he was not afraid of boots on the ground if they have to. He's calling the vice president who has been mandated by the legislature to take over, referring to her as weak, that she's not strong enough to handle Venezuela, and he's not exactly in terms with the opposition. So, trying to run Venezuela, I mean, he is already, offended an international law by abducting the sitting president, and now he is talking about running Venezuela. How dangerous is this?
It's very dangerous because first, America is America, Venezuela is Venezuela. So you cannot just totally impose your country's political structure in another country and expect peace. There will be rumbling, there will be political to some extent instability. There are those that will be dissatisfied with this arrangement, but my opinion is that he said for some time. It's not going to be like if the tenure is 4 years, going to take over the entire 4 years, or maybe just for transitioning, to see during that period whether the owners of the country, the Venezuelans, will be able to evolve, a political arrangement and political processes that will produce their president. So, well, for a time being, that Donald Trump wants to institute a transitional system that Americans are going to man in Venezuela. Just like we have said, that it's all about interest. It's the interest of America that they want to protect. So let's we want to keep watching to see what Donald Trump is going to bring. Trying to achieve.
Protect the country from influx of drugs, or they are interested in Venezuela's oil.
He's using drugs as the very reason why he's penetrating Venezuela. But if you look at it, look at the undertone. The undertone could be the oil that America is interested in. So by the time he is administering Venezuela, let's see whether he will turn his and look at the oil. Then we will know, this is exactly why you wanted to, come and administer this country, so that you can use that power that you are there, because they can touch anything. Once they come and take over, they can touch anything. That's almost like modern colonization, and that's too bad, because all over the world colonization has been stampeded and exterminated. But now America is now coming up, and I'm happy that it's just starting with the American countries, the East American countries, and so on. So if he's doing that to his brothers, I don't know where African countries should be very careful, because we don't want that colonization again.
All right, it's time to let you in, dear listener, on the program this morning. You're listening to Melting Point on Memories 96.5 FM, and the phone lines to call and be part of the discussion are 0823 085 7755, 0829 066 6909. When you call in, try to be as concise and civil as possible, and we'll get to have a very smooth discussion this morning. Remember, the second number serves as our WhatsApp number, so you can send a message there and we'll get to read it here this morning.
All right. Doctor, let me come to you. In the early 20th century, Venezuela's long-serving hotline leader, Juan Gomez, allowed foreign companies exclusive access to the country's oil resources. And okay, it's like we have a call. Somebody's on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
I think if I wish what happened in Venezuela can happen anywhere in the world. Our leaders should have been fixed. As at 1995, at that time, Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world. In terms of how much, even that time we were saying a liter of oil in Nigeria time was the money he entitled to Venezuela was almost like a bottle of money, but that was about 50 naira, 40 naira. Then somebody came into power, destroyed the whole country to the point that they spoiled their claiming they have. In a day, almost 2,400 barrels a day. The people run away and leave the country. People that you claim that you want to rule, run away and leave the country. You call that a president, you call that people should think, people should try and think. Human beings are not animals. They should be put, the senators are happy. You run a patent. You don't get what are you doing with drugs? What is going on in the world? So I so much thank God that Trump is getting there. And I'm fully proud to see when I said that Trump got to direct him to help Venezuela. How many Venezuelans are people land?
All right.
So that's the to our people should see leadership people in authority should learn. You can't wake up in the morning with committing your people are thinking we are thinking about money. They don't know what happened in Nigeria.
Thank you.
When they came back, they remove first of it. Now they do that. You know, what are governments of the right for us to give us land right every December?
All right, Koko, we have to go. Thank you very much. 0803 085 7755 0809 066 6909. Remember, the second number serves as our WhatsApp number.
All right, Tueko, let me settle with you. There's a call here. There's a call. I hardly would say anything without a call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
My name is calling from.
Go ahead.
Please, Donald Trump going to Venezuela to. I know he's not going to control Venezuela at all. But he's trying to make that country better place for the citizens. You know, politicians, the way that is running country. The example of this Nigeria, you will see a black king and cannot say it's a black. So if President Donald Trump can be there to make sure that that country is well organized, we should just forget about going there to control their business. What are the president of that country doing with this thing? They are spoiling the country with drugs and all these things. They are the ones that are even making Nigeria to also be loaded with drugs. So let President Donald Trump go there and make that country a better place. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. 0803 085 7755 0809 066 6909. Let's try to take one more call before
I come in. Hello, who is there? Knock, who is there?
Go ahead.
0803 085 7755. Or you can send your WhatsApp messages to us on 0809 066 6909.
Okay, we just have to pause off with the calls and let Otilo.
All right, yeah. Tueko, back to you. Now, in 1975, after decades of seeking greater control of its oil resources, Venezuela finally nationalized its oil industry. And now, Trump's claim that Venezuela has stolen oil and land from the U.S., some say it's business, but the U.S. is much more interested in having Venezuela provide oil relatively cheap to the US than to have the production collapse in the Venezuela, which means perhaps it is because of administrative flaws that Trump is attacking Venezuela in order to ensure that there is a smooth supply of oil to US.
Yeah, we know oil is really not. There's nothing you are going to talk about without the oil.
Yeah, because in
Okay,
addition
being
to
a
that,
factor.
let me add this. Now, in addition to that, US oil companies such as Exxon and Mobil, as well as Gulf and Chevron, they said they've lost about $5 billion each in assets and were compensated just $1 billion each, according to reports. So I think
you need to understand that the American companies were those who started drilling in those places, and that's why I said Americans are very emotionally attached to oil, and where their companies, yes. So there's nothing Venezuela could have done all the time they have been looking at it, even though I think at the time Chevron had come back, but I don't know the conditions in which Chevron had come back. You see the point? And so anywhere, most times in the world, you see America get involved. Like what happened in Iraq, in Libya, you see that oil was a factor. What happened in Iraq, the involvement in the Kuwait war, oil was a factor. In what happened in Iran, oil has always been a factor. So America would do its utmost to make sure that the oil revenue that has been streaming to them, they are not necessarily for the oil going back to America, but at least let their companies control the oil. That has always been, and if you look at what has been happening in recent memory, Russia and China have been gradually taking over the oil in Venezuela, which has the largest oil field, and America will not ultimately keep quiet. And there is something the former American Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, said. He said to be a friend to America is fatal, and to be the enemy is dangerous. So you need to know how to be able to balance the two. Don't be too much of a friend, and don't be too much of an enemy. And since Venezuela had taken a position of being completely against America, you see the point I'm trying to say. Ultimately, this is where it's going to suffer. And many countries, Trump is even talking about Cuba, which is going to be a far more dangerous option, because the army there is not something you can't go there and kidnap. If they could have done it. They have tried to kill Fidel Castro, I think 30-something times or 60-something times. They couldn't. Everything was done outside the invasion. You see the point. So these are the issues with America. The inability to know when to stop is the problem as we speak. If Trump knows where to stop, this thing will work well. But if they don't know where to stop, America is going to be drawn into, like people say, Iraq 2.0. So let us pray that doesn't happen.
Well, before I ask the next question, I have a message here from John Mbom. Good morning to you all. Happy New Year, President.
Mbom.
Yeah, Mbom. Yeah.
John Mbom.
President, I didn't want to say Mbom because it sounded somehow in my ears, but then
That's his name.
good morning to you all. Happy New Year. President Donald Trump should be commended. Any nation that claims sovereignty, yet her citizens are not feeling the sovereignty, have the right to take drastic actions and ensure international communities come to aid such countries. If terrorism is not eradicated, I will support President Donald Trump's action to do the needful. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to the program. Your name and your location.
Yeah, good morning,
Bob,
Good morning, sir.
welcome. Go ahead.
good morning, the old fellow.
Yeah, good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to say, in our daddy,
Bob, we can barely hear you. Please.
Because they're talking about life, and the way the president, I think is about our job or people that is the problem, and there is no moral justification for injustice. And I'm very, very glad that even the international ones, like they are also silent about it. It's strong, they
going to receive in about this. Immediately we will direct about it. But we cannot complete it for this.
All right then. Thank you, Bob. Well, we couldn't make out most of what you tried to say, but thank you all the same for calling in. Doc, past foreign-led regime changes have produced mixed and even negative results. Based on history, I mean, we can remember Afghanistan, we can remember Iraq, Libya. Does removing a leader by force usually lead to democracy and stability, or does it often create long-term chaos?
It will create chaos. I don't want to say long term. But it can also give way for the people to sit up and know that, wow, you know, if we don't sit up, this thing can continue like this.
Well, the deputy vice president, who happens to be his son,
Yeah.
is Nicolas Maduro's son, is calling for the people to protest.
Yes, they can protest if they want, but they can also sit back and say, oh no, let's look inward and
Right.
see where we have gone wrong. Do you know that this action is serving as a deterrent to many other countries? Don't you know that Nigeria will be sitting up now and saying no, let's do something, you know? Of course, you have seen that from the onset of Donald Trump's actions. You can see that the security situation and architecture in Nigeria has been restructured, and you could see that there is some form of peace and stability and harmony in so many aspects. So that action is number one, sending a very strong signal to other countries of the world, and serving as a deterrent to others to sit up. So Venezuelans, you know, can take to the streets and protest. I wonder if the protest who will come to bail them, you know, who will listen, because Donald Trump will do what he has intended to do, you know. That can also, you know, they too can also sit back from at the Congress to other levels of, you know, of the countries, and actually adumbrate and ponder over what they should do as a country to be able to restore their democracy and have a good governance.
All right.
You know, devoid of this drug peddling that they're accusing them of. You know, the first caller said these guys have oil. What are they doing with drugs? Is it you that said?
No, the man, one of the
yes, the caller
said,
said. So that's sent a very strong signal to. I said, what are they doing with drugs
Yes,
when
yes.
you have so much oil? You know that America is even envying you,
All right,
and you are engaging in drugs. What
we
are
have to
you?
go.
Yeah.
Let's talk on your parting shots.
Yeah, my parting shot is to nations. You know, we keep on blaming, trying to use international law to allow despots to oppress their people. It is absolutely wrong. We need to change some of these international laws and regulation processes to factor in the feelings of the people. So if you look at look at the type of democracy we claim we are practicing in Nigeria. If Trump didn't come, Christian would have been killed, and we keep on talking about international law. Why should you go and kill people? What of the lives of the people in those countries? So international law must factor that in before we start talking about whatever international or what is not international.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning, Dr. Wanawasudo and Dr. Enquiry. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for thanking me.
All right then. So as we step into 2026, one thing is clear: the world is not shut